Good afternoon. This afternoon we are solving some question in quadratic equation, and you can see the question on the board. We are going to use three methods which are completing the square method, factorization, and quadratic formula. So, I have a student here that will solve the questions for me. She's going to start with factorization method. So she's going to start now.
Okay, so I'll start. Solution. Let me write out the question and state which method I'm using. We're starting with factorization method.
Okay, factorization.
Yes. So, first things first, you have to multiply these two together, the coefficient of x squared, in this case p squared, and the constants together. Then you find a number that when you multiply, it will give you minus 24, and when you subtract, it will give you minus 10. The numbers are 12 and 2. Then instead of writing this minus p,
you mean minus 12, right?
Yes, minus 12
and 2.
And
okay.
2 rather. Instead of writing this minus 10p, you solve it with these two numbers, because when you subtract them, to still give you the minus 10. So it will be equal to p squared minus 12p plus 2p minus 24 equals to 0. Then you factorize these two, finding which one is common between two of them, then factorize it out. P is common between these two. P divided by p, there's p cancel p to give you minus 12. 2 is common between these two. 2 divided by 2, p. 2 divided by minus 24, still giving minus 12. For you to know that you're right is when these two numbers are the same. If they are not the same, that means you have made a mistake somewhere. So you join these two together and you pick one of these. That would be p plus 2. When there's no sign, it means it's positive, which is addition rather. Open bracket, p minus 12 equals to 0. Then you write them down individually. That is p plus 2 equals to 0, or p minus 12 rather equals to 0. P equals to 0 minus 2, or p equals to 0 plus 12. How did I get this? I move this in, to make p the subject. P is equal to minus 2 or 12.
Okay, so you can see that she has finished solving the quadratic equation using factorization method. Another thing is that you can also, like she said, if you don't put any sign here, it means that it's positive. But at times, I do advise my student to put the plus there, so that when they are bringing together, because based on experience, some students will just write P2 because they believe that there's no sign here. So by putting the sign there, you know that you are combining P and plus 2. So she's going to the next method now, which is completing the square.
I've written out the 4 steps into using completing the square method. Step 1, divide through by the coefficients of p squared. The coefficient of p squared in this case is 1, so you don't need to change the question here because it will still give you the same figures. So you just write it out: p squared minus 10p minus 24 equals to 0. Before moving further, note that p squared, the coefficient of p squared isn't 0, it is 1.
Okay, is it? You said equal to 0, right?
Yes. Note that the coefficient of p squared isn't 0, but it is 1. It is because it is 1, that's why we rewrote the figures again, because minus 10 divided by everything here divided by 1 will still give you the same answer. So second step, move the constant to the right hand side. The constant is the figure or number that doesn't have any letter, which is 24. So you move 24 to the right hand side. So it's p squared minus 10p equals to 24, plus 24 now because minus has gone to the other side. Divide the coefficient by 2, square it, then add it to both sides. Let's break down the steps. divide the coefficient of p by 2. The coefficient of p, 10 divided by 2. That's minus 10 divided by 2. That's going to be equals to minus 5. Then square it. Square. So p square plus open bracket minus 5 square equals to 24 plus open bracket minus 5 square. What I did here is that I eliminated the 10p because the 10p isn't needed in the further steps. But let me rewrite it so that no one will be confused. P square minus 10p plus open bracket minus 5 square equals to 24 plus minus 5 square. I just cancelled the 10p like I said. So it will be p square plus open bracket minus 5 square equals to 24 plus minus 5 square. So since these two have square, I'll just do p minus 25 minus 5 times 5 minus 5 times minus 5 is going to be equals to plus 25. So it will be, we'll keep that answer up, but it just be minus 5 square equals to 24. Like I said, minus 5 times 5 equals to this 25 plus 25. P minus 5 square equals to 24 plus 25 is equals to 49. Now you move the square into the right hand side, the opposite side. So when you move, the opposite of square is square root. So it will be p minus 5 equals to square root 49. This time you add plus or minus. So it will be p minus 5 equals to plus or minus 7. So it will be p equals to 5 plus or minus 7. So it will be p equals to 5 plus 7 or 5 minus 7. That's the use of this plus or minus sign. I'm sure many of you are wondering this because of this. P equals to 12 or minus 2. And as you saw earlier, when I used factorization method, it gave me 12 or minus 2, which shows my answer is correct.